AI just opens up so many new opportunities to storytell, not just for the liquor brands that we traditionally serve, but for any brand out there. There's no limits anymore to, creativity, being able to tell your story.
What's up? Thank you for checking out the Hospitality Strategy Lab. My name is Jason Littrell. I'm here with Rachel and Kyle Ford from Ford Media Lab, who are doing some astonishing things with brands and AI. Rachel and Ford, welcome to the show. Rachel and Kyle, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Happy to
Thanks for
be here.
having us.
All right, tell me about Ford Media Lab.
Well, Ford Media Lab is a visual intelligence agency that started almost 10 years ago as a traditional photo studio catering to cocktail and spirits. And with the innovations in AI a couple of years ago, we realized that there was a very interesting way to integrate that into the content we were creating. And now, in the end of 2025, are mostly AI generated with some hybrid traditional content blended in. And we think it's the future of where content is going.
What are your clients asking for? What's keeping them up at night? What are they curious about right now?
Depends on the client. A lot of our clients are still following an old playbook. Our preferred clients at this point, I think, are dipping their toes into AI. We primarily serve the spirits industry, which I think has been kind of slow moving. I mean, there's a lot of regulation around it too. So I think there's concern over how things are portrayed. That can be a problem just even with traditional photography. Simple as like making sure that somebody's not actually looking like they're enjoying a beverage is apparently a necessary regulation in that field. But AI just opens up so many new opportunities to storytell, not just for the liquor brands that we traditionally serve, but for any brand out there. There's no limits anymore to creativity, being able to tell your story.
Just to clear this up real quick, am I talking to an AI right now?
No, we are real.
Okay,
We're the
thank
real
you.
version. But in terms of what keeps our clients up at night, I think budgets and the ability to tell their authentic story with a limited budget has been the biggest. Honestly, the reason why we started integrating AI in the first place. Almost 2 years ago, we had a luxury startup whiskey brand approach us, and their content was sufficient, but it wasn't sufficient for their vibe, which was Hollywood Hills mansions and Eames chairs and, private jets and watches. So we saw a way to create that luxury lifestyle for them, integrating their product using AI. And it's really been a tremendous solve for brands with budgets of all sizes. So
That's what's really cool because it's enabled us to work with brands that maybe we traditionally couldn't because they didn't have the budget for, larger content production. They get better content now, and we're able to be more nimble ourselves and actually create solves for, exciting startups that want to be disruptors in their category. And for the first time ever, perhaps they can actually create content that can compete, with the mega brands of any industry. So it's exciting time. You can be as creative as you want. You can really create like cinematic commercials for your product now, kind of like regardless. You don't need some $100,000 production budget to create something very interesting. And we've done some really cool work recently that has showcased that entirely. You can have voiceovers, people talking to you on the screen. It looks realistic. It requires a lot of different tools, but I think this is also, eventually the tech, every week it changes at this point, improves, gets better. You're able to do new things. As far as tie over into like hospitality, what you're more interested in, I think it's a natural evolution beyond kind of our marketing world because, for hospitality brands, it's making sure more people see what makes you special, right? That's what we're doing for, brands and products. And I think every restaurant, bar, hotel has a story we're telling, right? That's what gets people in the door. And I think AI really just unlocks being able to tell that in like 1,000 different ways.
You use the word better in terms of content. Now, my curiosity right now is that how prepared is the consumer or the guest to consume this kind of media, knowing that it's AI?
Oh, I think they're incredibly primed and they may not even know it. I mean, if you're
That's true.
if you're a user of TikTok, you're used to being absolutely bombarded with energy and things that cater to a shorter attention span. I don't know if you or your listeners have played around with the Sora app, but it is, I mean, I think Kyle described it as an absolute fever dream. And it bombards you.
Have you seen Sora?
I haven't played with it. It's not, there's no Android app, I don't think. I haven't played with it yet, but I get all the newsletters and saying like, oh my God, what are you doing? Stop what you're doing. Start using Sora.
Right. Well, if you need an invite to it, I can send you an invite. But I mean,
yeah, no, if it's not too much trouble, yeah, no, that'd be great. Thank you.
I think I have one left, so I'll send it for you after. But it's it produces basically. If you just scroll through the feed, it looks like you're on TikTok. Like the quality of the video looks like that. It looks like it's shot on somebody's cell phone. It can produce stuff at a higher production level than that too. But that's kind of what everyone in the app is using it for. And you have a hard time discerning if it's real or fake unless it's completely like fantasy land of whatever's going on in the video. But you're also able to resurrect people from the dead, like old celebrities were making cameos now.
I mean, I'm seeing like Tupac talking to Mr. Rogers and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
again, fever dream stuff that like maybe would only happen in your head. We're able to make real. I mean, what is real?
All right. So we know what we can do. Now, what should we do? Like, let's say that let's say you're an independent bar restaurant and you're like, I just cannot keep up with content right now. Like they know the content drives awareness, which in turn drives sales, right?
Yeah.
So how, like, what is a relevant, and I dare use the word authentic use of this to, if not automate, but strong, like heavily enhance it?
Authentic is a perfect word, to be honest with you, because when we talk about Sora and the chaos of that, like that's not how we are, at least at this time, integrating AI for our clients. We are still using a hybrid approach where if there's a product involved, we're actually photographing that product and integrating it into an AI generated world. I think there is an even larger opportunity for hospitality because there are actual venues, actual locations in place. And with the use of some great photography of your location, of your bar, of a table in your restaurant, of your hotel lobby, and even some simple cell phone photo of your newest cocktail, your special of the night for the kitchen. There are tools, basic tools that a social media manager in hospitality can be using to take that real dish, that real cocktail, and integrate it into your real setting. And that is authentic content. I mean, any photo shoot we've ever done involves so much smoke and mirrors and lighting and, tech before, during, and after that I think the line is really getting blurred with AI and
with
authenticity.
Product photography has never been about being real, right? Like what we do in studios, and it's always about creating fake sets, hiring in models, but they're technically fake people in a scene that aren't necessarily actually enjoying or a consumer of the actual product. You're able to just create all of these things now digitally. I think with the AI content, though, the goal shouldn't be to deceive people. I think if you're just creating something that is effective for whatever your brand is, that's what's important. As far as like hospitality is concerned, what comes to mind to me, something that would be fun for somebody to pursue out there is like, a cocktail menu. A cocktail menu, it doesn't just need to be a list of drinks anymore. And I try to think of like some of the top bars out there. And this may be a bit dated because we don't go out to too many mixology places anymore. But something that came to mind right before this podcast was like Dead Rabbit's old like graphic comic book type menu. I can only imagine what they could do with something like that on like social media to drive even more interest around a menu item or the drop of a new menu by literally like you can take artwork or generate new artwork for stuff like that and run it through several different AI programs and animate it and bring it to life. That's just one example. Maybe you run an Irish pub and you want a leprechaun telling people the specials of the day. Like you could also do that.
So this episode is for you, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For both concepts, right?
It really is interesting. I mean, just using Dead Rabbit as an example, like how they have the narrative that they created through the medium of a comic book, and the story of John Morrissey was like like kind of like led to the mythology of creating what is now the Dead Rabbit, largely considered one of the best bars in the world, 10 years running.
Sure.
And it's that storytelling that I think that a lot of people are missing. What are your thoughts on automating like the ever loving shit out of this stuff? Like using, like I played around with this for like 1 second. Like I spent a day just like, I'm going to learn N8N today. I'm going to learn Key. I'm going to learn like Phi. I'm going to learn all these technologies and start making a workflow where it's like this node generates the story, this one sends it out to this thing for 8 seconds, and then it stitches it together. And like you can automate that so that it comes out every single day or multiple times a day.
Automation has not been our main focus with what we've been using AI for. We are very much still involved. Honestly, it's taken
I feel like it's hard with visuals too.
it's hard with
You need
visuals.
to almost verify with more like human accuracy, I guess, or
Yeah.
human to see if it makes sense. Um, although I have to look this up, but I saw something in a feed somewhere today that Apple had actually been Apple of all people. So it seems like they kind of are behind the AI revolution at the moment, but who knows what they're working on that they haven't told us about. But they had taken Google's Nano Banana model and used it on itself to like train photo generation over and over again. And then using the model, it was just feeding back into itself, improving upon certain image generation and created like a vast library of images. I don't know to what end, but that sounds like something at some point where there's just going to be this kind of feedback AI feedback loop between maybe different AI.
There's a famous example of a couple of years ago when they had two AIs kind of conversing with each other.
Yeah.
And they rapidly moved past English. They're like, this is too inefficient.
Yeah.
And they had to unplug them because they were going to take over the world.
Oh my God.
So, remember to say please in your prompts, guys.
Yes. Well, at least they still rely upon electricity to be plugged in, right? So,
Yeah, for now, until they
For
get their
now.
own matrix, until they start, harvesting our heat.
Oh my God.
if we're not
So-
already there.
So going back to the storytelling part, like how would you advise your clients to get their story across? Like how do you go about like extracting what is important and relevant that people want to know that would impact their buying decision?
Well, I think for any passionate bar, restaurant owner, manager, it should be probably a very heartfelt, easy kind of process because there's already, I mean, you should have a why, right? Like, why do people come to your venue? What is it that makes you special? And I know years ago when we were working with marketing clients before these tools, we'd always come up with like a target consumer, target demographic, and we'd actually create characters and we'd give them names and we would give them passions and hobbies and places where they went just to personify them so that we could then think like them to market the product. And I think something really exciting that AI offers, which I know you had asked about, like AI avatars, brand ambassadors, which we have a really interesting example we can share on that. But the venues can actually kind of create what I'm talking about, these like personifications of their consumer in a digital form with consistency across assets. So I think what they need to really examine is the who, what, when, where, and why of it all. What makes them special, what they want to share. Develop a really easy like playbook of their content strategy. And then the job should just be filling in those blanks with really impactful, as authentic as it can be content.
I don't think.
Do you have any, Kyle? Do you want to go?
Oh yeah. Well, I think there's just a way to elevate too, even just basic content now that people may be unaware of, and it's as simple as having like a Gemini subscription that gives you access to their latest image generation, which has really changed the game because of iteration. So you can take a photo of anything and it will replicate objects with, I mean, over 90% accuracy, I would say. But this could be helpful. Like if you have an image of, say, your bar top, and you have a new cocktail, but you don't have those two things together, and you're maybe not the most talented photographer yourself, you could probably get away. I haven't tried this, but you could get away with taking a cell phone image of the cocktail against kind of a neutral background and then dropping the photo of your bar top and that cocktail into Google Gemini and asking it to put the two together in the style of professional photography, maintaining all of the pertinent details, and boom, you might have something that otherwise, I mean, I don't want to take away work from photographers that go in and take photos for cocktails and restaurants and stuff, but they should be learning these tools too. So if the restaurant themselves doesn't want to automate it, I think there's advantages to hiring in people that can create that content in that way for you too, because it can scale, but you can produce more of it. It can be more reactive. Some of our clients, drag their feet on getting digital assets they need for campaigns until the last moment. Like, oh, it's Halloween this week. Maybe we should have a Halloween post for Instagram. Oh, crap. Like, we don't have time to have a full blown shoot to do this. So, AI gives you the capability of being able to, create more timely content too, kind of on the fly.
I think it's with this type of application, it truly democratizes content. Like, how many bars, restaurants, venues can't afford to bring in a photographer or can't afford to find other solutions to, like, oh my goodness, it's National Margarita Day. We have a margarita special. How do we get this out on the Instagram story so that we can try to attract people into the venue? I think it offers a real opportunity for hospitality brands of all sizes with all budgets to compete in a very saturated marketplace. So for the brands that can afford to put more behind it, like, there are ways to do content even with our AI approach at a larger scale. But if they've got a social media manager in-house already, or someone tasked with that, you can just learn a few basic tools. They can really change the game for how they're showing up.
Well, most places do. They have somebody that's running the social media. And I can tell you that if they're posting on TikTok or creating reels, like the amount of effort sometimes that it takes to create that, like that's just as difficult as, if not more difficult than utilizing some of these new next gen tools that have come out. So it's just a matter of transitioning over to that to see what they can do. I mean, I've only just recently started dabbling with some of the making reels in the apps and stuff. And while it's like easier, like it's very time consuming. You could sit there for an hour trying to put together, something on your phone.
It's not so much the time required to complete a task. It's the amount of switching that happens while you're completing the task. So it's like
Yes.
you're like if you're like a bar owner, you have like a plunger in one hand, a stack of bills in the other. You're like, okay, well, I got to make a TikTok now, so I got to sit down and focus for 30 minutes and actually do this, and that can be done in 30 minutes, no problem. But if you have to pay a bill in between, somebody knocks on your door, somebody quits or gets fired, whatever. I'm keenly interested in the character building capabilities, and I'm keenly interested in. I've seen a couple of the ads that you guys produced for. I think it was a tequila brand. It looked beautiful. It was AI for sure. I mean, it looked like AI, but it was not pretending to be anything else. But like, what are your thoughts on like Jaw Monkey and like the aliens telling dad jokes and like Mr. Rogers talking to 50 Cent?
So there's a time and a place for that, and it's purely entertaining, and it can be very innovative, and I'm sure that it can be employed to sell products, and we may, that may be in some time like something we specialize in. I can't rule that out. But for the time being, our content philosophy has always been to try to be best in class, incredibly polished, cinematic. I mean, we've always used the top tier equipment. Kyle shoots on a Hasselblad camera. Like, our entire brand ethos has been on a very specific kind of premium, elevated type of content. Not that you can't do that with John Monkey, but that hasn't been our focus yet. And something that we recently executed, and these tools Kyle mentioned, they're coming out daily, weekly. Like, we might give a proposal to a client on a Monday and by Friday have an even better, faster, more effective way to do something than what we had proposed. But we had a call with a client that was asking about brand ambassadors and avatars, and they happened to have a sketched logo that was a woman kind of pinup style, but in like, it was a pinup style kind of Midwest retro character. And it was for an oat milk cream liqueur. And the question was, I wonder what we could insert the character into. So Nano Banana had just come out, and I thought, let's see what we can do. We were able to feed the logo into our tools, generate first a very realistic looking version. So still very pinup-y, very characterized. But then when we started applying more of a marketing brain and where does this woman live? Who is this woman? Kind of that, like, that brand character we were talking about. We ended up putting her on a Brooklyn stoop because it was an oat milk liqueur. When we lived in Brooklyn, oat milk was the thing, probably still is. But we were able to bring her to life. And then Kyle used animation tools to have her moving and laughing in a very realistic way. And the thing that's really interesting about this is I actually tried a test as we were prepping for your podcast. I wonder if I could put her like in an actual hotel bar. And so I found a photo online of the Ace Hotel lobby bar in New York. And sure enough, through Nano Banana, was able to put her sitting at that bar. So I think this is a really interesting thing for venues, for places with location specificity, is that if you have great photos of your interior, you can have character consistency. You can create characters, people, and have them tell a story throughout your venue.
And also throughout content pieces as well. Like there's continuity between storylines where if you give this character a huge backstory, like it can reinforce the story and like have a consistent call to action or like product placement or whatever it is. It's
Completely.
totally insane. And that's relatively new. That's only a few weeks old where they're able to do that.
Well, and I mean, I would personally use it for myself. If I decided I wanted to start giving like AI tutorials instead of having to hop in front of a camera, if I can just type in what I want to have myself say on a screen, why would I not do that? It's a lot easier and less time consuming.
Right.
I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry if my hair looks good. Like AI will take that for me.
Like I created this brand called Banana Maro.
Yeah.
And I just like
I'm already sold.
only because I could get the domain name. I was like, this is insane. I was like playing with Nano Banana. I was like, okay, let's call it Banana Maro. And I was like bananamaro.com. See you there. And it's like in a day of learning how to do not only the automation, but also the content, the prompting for the story, and then repeating it. Like I think it was syndicated through Blatato or Blotato is the syndication engine behind it. But it created a new post every day about this character of him, if this guy, this awkward man on the street. He was Australian. He was from New Zealand. He was like socially awkward, wearing a banana costume and a sash that says Banana Mo, and just doing man on the street interviews of people saying, "What's your favorite drink?" and then just being weird.
How did it work?
And it's just like I feel like every brand is going to be doing this. Like every brand is going to have their own jaw monkey. Every brand is going to have their own blogging Yeti, stuff like that. So I don't know.
Especially if it's cheeky or funny, people are less inclined to care if it's real, if it's kind of cartoony or fun. Does that matter? We've certainly gotten into some conversations with people as of late about like, hey, we can't use anything AI because it's not real. I'm like, well, what is real to you? Like previously. Also, like, does it matter if it's real, if it's effective? Like to me, in our world, it matters more if a piece of content is effective versus if it's real. As long as you're not trying to lie to people, like the efficacy of whether or not it gets engagement and drives conversions, gets people buying a product or, checking out a venue. If a bar was posting funny stuff or a brand was posting something with some guy in a banana costume all the time, it's consistent, it's clever marketing, it's eye catching, it gives people a reason to follow the social channel. Like I would much rather follow that than some page that's posting the same boring bottle shots or cocktail photos over and over and over again. So it's new, it's fresh, and I think it's necessary. Like the amount of noise that's about to happen out there when you go to Sora and you see the absurdity of what we're getting bombarded with, like as if our attention spans weren't already whittled down to a toothpick already. Where we're at, in order to rise above the noise, you almost need to match it and then exceed it, but in clever ways that can still stay true to your brand or your business.
Well, I think that's an interesting point. And like a lot of my obsession lately is about search engine optimization and SEO. And so like you'll see me making a lot of content towards the information stream that is already happening, what people are already curious about. Like you use tools like Answer the Public, for instance, and people are saying like, what is when they're asking questions about what you're thinking, and then you make content to that. So how do you like? What's it like? Are you guys thinking about this kind of SEO element where you're joining an existing stream versus creating a new stream around your clients' brands?
Oh gosh, well SEO more like GEO now, right? So I mean, I don't know about you, but I pretty much use Perplexity instead of like Google search anymore.
GEO? I'm not familiar
GEO,
with that.
yeah, generative engine optimization. So AI, basically AI. So obviously SEO is still important, but as an overwhelmingly a growing level of people are shifting towards using AI platforms or ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever it may be to research things versus traditional web search. And obviously that leans upon and leverages existing web search and what's out there on the web. But, something like Perplexity synthesizes the data for you, Google's starting to implement that by like rolling out Gemini into your search results, but it hasn't been as robust as like some other platforms. So it's also about optimizing for that. Like, how does an AI read what you're doing and searching out there? Because that's also dictating trends. And perhaps I think going a little bit further, as marketers are growingly concerned about what Gen Z thinks about things and some of the cornerstones and values of that generation. Authenticity is certainly one of them. Brand story is certainly one of them. What, like, beyond a search engine, what an AI search engine thinks about your product, thinks about your brand is really important. And I don't think enough people are thinking about that, because it does kind of go a step further than just basic web search and web optimization. There needs to actually be some meat there for, the AI to like pick your business or your product over another when you're asking for a recommendation. And whether or not that's pure and true, or that's being guided by, corporate interests
There
running
may be
these.
some agendas there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's probably some agendas there, but like at the moment, it's kind of the Wild West. So it's, worth thinking about. But that is really interesting. Like, I think we could probably ourselves spend more time looking at those trends and trying to be reactive to them. We do that to some degree for our clients, because it's always about what's, popular on social media and stuff. But you can also create those trends or maybe even predict where they're going. And in this regard, I think AI can actually help you do that.
Yeah, for sure. I just posted something last week in my workshop. I kind of, anytime I find something interesting, I put an SOP around it, put it in the workshop, and it's the thrust of this is so simple, it's ridiculous. But it's like Bing is owned by Microsoft.
Sure.
Microsoft is a major investor in OpenAI, the people who make ChatGPT. And so if you go to bing.com/webmaster and register your site, then OpenAI will be able to crawl your website. So if you're not registered on that site, then it doesn't know that you exist. And so it can't recommend you. So that's just like a quick little hack there.
Yeah. So it's already happening. Yeah. That's what I thought. Sure.
So what's the future of the Ford Media Lab?
Well, I mean, we've made quite a few changes this last year. It's tough because we came from traditional photography. Honestly, didn't do a whole lot of video work because I preferred still work, is where our sweet spot was. But that was a huge pain point for us over the last 10 years, as social media kind of dictated that the algorithms prefer video. And we didn't have much of a solve for that until recently. For that, I'm very thankful for the AI tools. And we can actually achieve content that never existed before because we're able to have the precision of photography. So we can take, still a studio photo, but now be able to animate it after the fact and turn it into a reel or just an animation in a way that actual videography can't achieve, because it's not usually sitting there retouching a video. You can't get it down to that level of precision before animating it. A video is capturing what's going on live in, hundreds of thousands of frames. So it kind of actually pushes the visual of something that's now moving with like photographic precision. That's what we've been dabbling with, but like I'm almost wondering, because I'm very much a futurist myself, like how long until we're post camera, because we're generating a lot of content now just by clever prompting and being able to composite things in using some traditional methods like Photoshop, the original of like faking visuals, right? But they have a lot of great AI tools built in there now too. But it's about kind of recycling and being clever even with existing assets. You don't necessarily need to have new photo shoots over and over again for products. If you have a great hero product image that you use for ecom that's shot on a neutral background, you can now drop that into so many different visuals if you have someone who knows how to leverage the tools. So we've kind of, alongside our move, we just recently moved down to Miami, which seems like a great place for this because it's kind of a growing tech hub with where we are now. Very forward thinking. Seems like a relatively new city too. Everything's getting built up around like new ideas. So
I hear there's traffic enough to back that up.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Especially in our neighborhood. Don't come to Wynwood and drive down.
Oh, I got a client there, Bartulio's in Wynwood. I work with that.
Yeah, they're right up the street. That's great.
You got to get in there.
Very frustrating to find parking around here, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I mean, you guys started in the bar world. You guys are bartenders 150 years ago when we first met. If you owned a bar now, what would you advise them to do and to tell their story right now with the tool, like with their cell phone?
Oh my goodness. Well,
I would, just for fun, I'd recommend people check out Luma Dream Machine, Luma AI, Luma. I think that's been one of my go-to video generation AI tools, and it's gotten, they just really, like, again, every AI tool every week is upgrading, but their most recent video generative platform is like really light years ahead of where it started. It used to be that you try to animate like a still, a keyframe, any photo that you take, and it would produce 5 seconds of video. Maybe if you're lucky, 1 second of it was usable before the AI started to hallucinate. Now you can get 5 to 10 seconds of like great looking usable video. So not too long ago, Rachel and I checked out a bar in South Beach, and I just took a cell phone photo of, I think it was a Tom Collins I was enjoying there. Just brought it over to the window, made sure there was good lighting, still following photographic practices, but then was able to drop that photo into Luma Dream Machine. They have an app on, or at least on iPhone. I don't know if they do on Android,
Probably not.
but if not, you could navigate there through the web and still use the service as well. Drop it in there. I didn't even have to type a prompt into this thing. This is how smart the systems are getting. It'll still generate something pretty. Obviously, it helps if you tell it what you want it to do, but it just created a nice kind of cinematic dolly type motion on the camera that you wouldn't have been able to achieve with a cell phone unless you actually had a bunch of physical gear set up in your bar or restaurant and were sliding. Even if it was a cell phone, you'd still need specialty gear that, you know, most people don't have on hand, and you can create a look and feel all of a sudden that draws you in. So like, even if it's just your cocktail special for the day, you could drop it into this tool. I don't know. I think there is like a free, they let you do a certain amount of videos for free. You probably have to pay a subscription to get rid of a watermark, I'm sure. I don't know. But of all the tools, that's one I would certainly be leveraging if I were still working in a bar and just wanted to kind of promote like a daily cocktail or some kind of feature, because you're able to take a singular photo and turn it into a beautiful video asset pretty easily.
well, and I think that there's a few things that I would recommend. I think the first starting point would be to be creative and be true to yourself first and foremost. Like going back to the dead rabbit and the graphic menu. I remember, I think, Jason, when we first met you, we were at Amore y Amargo and you were at Death and Company. And we had Sundays where we would get to do the Ford's night and create our own cocktail menu. And I remember I would hand draw a comic strip of our specials menu. And this was pre-Dead Rabbit, I have to say. This was probably 2011.
Hardly the production level of their graphic novels.
Hardly. But if we were to try to implement that today, if that was our brand and we were trying to do that, like we'd be able to create it even better without having to go through those motions. And I think that's been the biggest gift for me as our creative director, is that AI lets me take what's in my brain and put it out there for our clients to see and approve and people to experience. But first and foremost, I think find your thing, have that be what's authentic. And you can use the tools to create, that's just like your paintbrush, right? But be authentic to yourself. I think having some great photos of your space can be very effective for using tools like Nano Banana. If you want to play around with characters, if you want to have, kind of a template where you can pop in that cell phone photo into something, like have some great photos of your venue. Because you can't create that with AI, right? That's a physical place. I think having
Authenticity. So
yeah, exactly.
probably don't want to be posting a bar that doesn't look like your bar.
No. So have that be real. And, obviously your food dishes and your menu items, you want those to look authentic, which is where that hybrid approach really comes in. If you're the owner of the venue, the manager of the venue, invest in just some basic tools for whoever is tasked with doing this to utilize. And then make sure that the person that you have on your team that's tasked with social media or content creation is interested in some learning and utilizing them and innovative, and kind of sees this as an endless creative opportunity as opposed to some kind of like new thing they have to learn or inconvenience, right? Like I think that's kind of the secret sauce, and it doesn't have to be perfect content. Like I've learned that people talking about you, people hearing about you, people thinking about you is way more powerful sometimes than having it be like, oh, we don't have the right piece of content to share right now. But play around. And I think as long as you're not trying to deceive anyone and you're utilizing it to either enhance or be creative or bring a vision to life, I think it is the future and it's really valuable.
And whatever tool you do end up using, like it helps you tell your story before people even walk in the door. So like as long as you're just using it creatively to do that, I don't think you can go wrong.
All right. Well, we're going to use AI to edit the shit out of this. I promise you that.
All right.
All right. So if you haven't
Make
already signed up
me
for
10, 20 years younger, that would be great.
yes, 100%.
He tried that earlier.
Yeah. All right. If you haven't signed up for my free accelerator, it's 30 minutes and it gets your reviews on autopilot by connecting your Google My Business with your Instagram. Rachel and Kyle Ford from Ford Media Lab, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure to catch up with you.
All right.
Thank
Likewise.
you.
Great to see you, Jason.
Great to see you.